What I'm about to show you is the stuff that sales trainers charge $10,000 to teach you in a closed room. Professors of behavioral psychology study this for their entire careers. Used car dealers use it on you without you knowing. The top 1% of closers use this on every single call. And I'm about to unpack everything for you to show you the 10 different dark psychology sales tactics that you can use on your next sales call. My name's Zac Dingee. I run a solar sales company that does over $50 million a year in sales. I have an 80-person sales team. I've been going door to door now for 8 years. And some of these tactics today, I use every single call. Some of them I just kind of have in my tool belt to use when I need to. So it's very, very good to know how these work so that, number one, you can use it on other people, or if you feel like you need to, if you're ever in a buying purchase, you can know it's being used on you. I'm actually going to start with an analogy or an example of this that I heard that was from, I think the guy, you've probably seen him before. He worked in the FBI, and he talked on this podcast, and he said the best way to get information out of people is to tell them incorrect statements. And so I want to give this example. He said, when we were in training, I had to go up to someone at the grocery store and find out within 60 seconds how much money they make for a living. And obviously, if you walk up to someone and say, hey, how much money do you make? And you don't know this person, 99 times out of 100, they're going to tell you to kick rocks and not going to tell you anything. And so how do you walk up to this person and not let them know that you're trying to figure this out and get them to talk back to you? This is what he did. And this is just such a good example of how good this kind of stuff can work. He walked up and he said, hey, ma'am, I got to tell you, I saw a study the other day that said the average supermarket employee makes $32 an hour. Is that true? She's like, oh, dear God, no. There's no, she's like, I only make $15 an hour. That's crazy. What supermarket is that? Boom. But it's a perfect example of, like, if you use the right sentences and say the right things, people will give you information. And one huge one that this isn't even in the video, this is just a pro tip. If you say the wrong information intentionally, people feel the need to correct you. And so this is a huge tip that I have. Anyway, let's get into a couple sales tips and let's show you how to use these. Some of these you may know, some of them you won't. But one of the basics one that I want to start with to just kind of get out of the way is mirror and match. It's how you build a rapport with people. This is like basic sales stuff. But when I knock on a door, if a 6'2" man comes out in a beard and a hat and he's got a black F-150 in his yard, I'm not going to say, hey, sir, how are you? My name's Zac. He's going to shut me down. When that person comes out, hey, sir, how you doing? My name's Zac. And I reach out my hand immediately to let him know that I'm kind of on the same page as him. Compared to if a woman walks out and she has her 2-year-old daughter next to her and I'm standing on the door and she doesn't know who the heck I am, I'm going to give her extra distance. I'm going to raise my voice. I'm going to put my hand on my heart and I'm going to raise my hand high to let her know I'm not a threat. Hi, miss. My name's Zac. I'm really sorry to bother you. And I want to give her as much embedded visual commands to show her that I'm not here to hurt you as I possibly can. And so this is just basic mirror and matching. Same thing when you're in a house. When I'm talking to someone, if they're super excited and want to talk and smiley and happy, then I'm going to do that with them. Compared to if a person's very direct, they want me to be straight to the point, then I'll do that for them. The best salespeople, though, know how to mimic body language, their voice dictation, their tone, their pace, and they can mirror this person. You don't have to literally do exactly as they do, but if someone's very high energy and you're very low energy, they don't like that, and vice versa. Tactic number 2 is price anchoring. And I want to read you some science here that a gentleman named Daniel Kahneman, he proved humans make all decisions relative to an initial reference points. So change the anchor, change the deal, meaning all of our consideration if something is expensive or cheap or this decision we're going to make is based on a reference point that we have in some previous endeavor. For example, if you love cars and the car you go to buy was priced at $50,000 2 weeks ago and now it's priced at $40,000, you may think, wow, I'm getting a great deal on this car. But in reality, the car is actually only worth $30,000 and they're selling it for $10,000 more. So you're actually getting a bad deal on the car. But it's all relative to other points that you've had or had experiences in the past. So Something that's really, really strong in a sales pitch or sale in your presentation is at the end of your presentation, when you show the numbers, to start with a price anchor. Meaning, let's say you're selling a solar system, you can say, hey, here's how the finance works. You would take out a loan, your price would be $82,000 to finance, and you would get $5,000 back from the state. And so at the end of the day, you'd have to put down about $72,000. However, your electricity would be paid off forever, but you got to put down about 72 grand. The other option we have for you is if you do a lease, your payment's about $240 a month to start. It goes up 2% a year, and then you have a fixed payment at $240 a month. $240 a month compared to $72,000. Which one sounds a whole lot better to the homeowner? Obviously, the $240 one. And so that's a way that we do this in our sales presentation. Obviously, it changes depending on the product. If you're doing roofing, you can offer them, hey, we have our extra master elite roofing material. Or if you're doing HVAC, we have our Mitsubishi Hyperheat top of the line mini splits. And you show them that for $42,000. And then all of a sudden you say, or what a lot of people do is, and now I'm telling them also, I'm embedding this command in them. What a lot of people do is they don't want to buy the Rolls Royce of the heat pump system. They'd rather just buy the solid Toyota Camry that's going to work and has the same warranties and everything else, but it doesn't have the fancy name brand. And so a lot of my customers, they don't buy this $42,000 option. They actually buy this $25,000 option. Oh, wow, it's almost half the price. Yes, it is. Boom, deal closed. Price anchoring. Everybody should be doing this, and it's so damn simple. Make sure you're using price anchoring. Number 3, loss aversion. Basically, in a nutshell, this means using negative connotation instead of positive connotation. So if I'm talking to a business owner, I'm trying to sell them on a software or something that's going to help their business, instead of saying, this system can help you save 15 hours a week and make you $5,000 every month, I would say, every week you're losing 15 hours a week right now, and you're leaving $5,000 on the table. That sounds way worse than this other one. For example, in this video right now, if I said, these are the 10 best sales tactics I have, it might do well. But if I say these are the dark psychology sales tactics, probably gonna do better because people like that negative connotation around things. It sells better. That's why media is so damn powerful, because all they do is create negative media. Tactic number 4, embedded commands. This is something that works so well and is so sneaky and is just basic, simple stuff. It's like changing one sentence in your presentation can change the entire sales process. So what is an embedded command? The subconscious mind processes commands embedded in the sentence as direct instructions. Even the conscious mind, it doesn't really know what just happened, and it's a very, very simple way of getting someone to move forward. For example, I get to the end of a presentation or I'm on the door and I'm setting an appointment, and instead of saying, are you interested in buying this, or are you ready to move forward? I would say, at the end of the day, Mr. Homeowner, this is your decision. I'm just here to help you kind of along these guidelines. If you were to have this on your roof, what would be the biggest reason why you would be cautious of it the next day or maybe not want to do this? And so I'm embedding those first 2 sentences to make them feel comfortable. This is your decision. I'm just here to help you. But are you ready to move forward? Instead of asking for their credit card, and I'm like, hey, what's your credit card number? I'm like, when you feel comfortable, we can go ahead and move along with this process. And this is what we have to do to move along. First, I'm just gonna need your information real quick, and then we'll go on and we'll set up a survey. And so I'm embedding, hey, I'm just gonna need your information real quick, and then we'll go on to a survey. Hey, I'm just gonna need your social real quick to run your credit, and then we'll go on to a survey. But I'm embedding it in that sentence. Last one, that's a good example, is like buy before the prices go up. If you want someone to make a decision or buy right now, you can say many people in your position decide to act now before the price change next month, because unfortunately on April 1st, because of the industry and what's happening, some prices are changing. So a lot of people in your situation are buying right now because of that. So again, you're embedding that command. You're kind of burying it in a sentence to make them feel comfortable to make a decision. Tactic number 5 is social proof. This one, a lot of people usually do, and they actually do it right. If you're in sales, this is another really basic one that helps. So that's why the movie Hacksaw Ridge, I feel like, pulled on so many people's heartstrings, because when you look at war as a globe, as like a macro thing, it's very hard to realize all the people that died or what's going on. But when you follow one person in a movie like Hacksaw Ridge and you see what that person goes through and what they feel, everyone cries at the end of that movie. Like, how do you not cry at that movie? Because you know everything this person did. So when I talk about sales or how many installs we have or making a decision, I don't say, yeah, so we have 5,000 installs in this area. That doesn't make them feel as comfortable as saying, I just met with someone last week that had this exact same issue. Kathy, right up the road, she lives probably like 2 minutes from here, but this is what she found when she went through the process is XYZ. So I'm giving it a specific person for them to realize that there's someone else also in their exact shoes. Huge way to really get social proof from somebody's doing something like that. Tactic number 6 is the takeaway. I feel like everyone knows about this one. If you don't, you've been probably not studying sales for too long, but everyone knows a little takeaway. When you're ready to give something, you say, you know what? I don't know if this is the right fit for you. I don't know if you're even going to qualify for this program. This is Jeremy Miner's whole thing, which he's very, very good at. But you basically just remove the offer, you pull it off the table, you do a little pullback, you show that you're not in need of their product or their purchase. You have the control. You are okay with walking out and leaving the deal. And at the end of the day, this is the art of the deal. If you are okay with walking out of the deal, you will be okay with the product or the person not selling. And when you are okay with that, you don't have what we call commission breath, which means if you walk into a house and you really need a deal, you won't do a takeaway and you will sound desperate the entire presentation. Not good. You want to be able to take away, walk away, and use one of these in your close so that people feel like you don't actually need to buy anything today. You're just trying to help them. Tactic number 7 is scarcity/FOMO, fear of missing out on something. You can do this in a lot of different ways where you're creating urgency by saying this deal is going to run out, or you can say there's X amount of people in this neighborhood. Something I've talked about on the last video is the 5-3-2 rule, which says, hey, my job is to do 5 people in this neighborhood. We've already done 3. We're looking to do 2 more. They're not the first, they're not the last, they're in the middle, and you're doing other people in the neighborhood this service so that they feel comfortable. Makes them feel like they may be missing out if they don't do it. Very easy, very simple again, but if you stack all these things together, phenomenal results. Tactic number 8 is called the foot in the door method. Foot in the door method is getting people to have small yeses throughout the presentation. So as you're talking, does this make sense so far? Are you kind of follow what I'm saying at? Can you see why some people would do this product? Can you see why people are doing this? Yes, 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 yes. At the end, all right, perfect. So all I'm going to need is your credit card information, and then we're going to move forward with there. Perfect, here's my credit card information. Because they said yes to you so many times. And then on top of that, another little version of this that I like to use is foot in the door. I ask for something big and then go down to something small. We kind of talked about this with the anchor before, but if I'm like, you're not like leaving the country tomorrow, are you? It's okay if I stop back around 5 o'clock? No, I'm not leaving the country. I'll be here. Okay, cool, perfect. I'll be here tomorrow at 5 o'clock. That is a way to get people to say yes, because you kind of give them this big ask and then go down to a smaller no. But you're getting people basically micro commitments throughout the presentation. Foot in the door method. Tactic number 9 is pattern interrupt. We teach this a lot in cold calling and door-to-door sales because you have no choice but to do this. If you don't do pattern interrupt, they just will not listen to you on the door. You have to get their attention on you. Some people call this icebreakers, all the same thing. A great line that you can use, again, in our situation, a lot of people are looking at us as sales reps. In most scenarios, you're usually being looked at like a sales rep and they don't listen to you. And so a huge line you can use is, before I pitch you anything, I want to ask you something that most salespeople are not going to ask you. You have 100% of their attention. Whatever you say next doesn't even matter at that point. It's just a great line to have to say to someone to get them to know that you're on the same team with them. Another thing that's huge in pattern interrupt that some people have and some people don't, but using humor or being very, very direct on a call. Hey, listen, my job's to talk to 20 people a day. You're honestly the 19th person I've talked to today. This is a cold call, but will you at least give me 30 seconds to tell you? You know what? Yeah, I'll give you 30 seconds. That sounds reasonable. Perfect. Now you can get your 30 seconds out. And so that interrupts someone's pattern because they don't expect a salesperson to say that. So very, very good there. And last one, tactic number 10 is labeling. I want to label somebody. You know what, John? I'll tell you what, you really do seem like a smart guy and that you would fully understand this. I'm not going to come here and waste your time for 2 hours. I'll stop by for 10 minutes and I'll show you how this works. Is that fair? Yeah, it's fair. He's happy that I told him he's a smart guy and that I think he's going to make sense of this really, really fast. You label someone and you tell them what they are. And another way to do this is like, you strike me as someone who really would care about saving the environment, or you strike me as someone who really would care about having a nice look of panels on your house. You don't want them kind of broken up and looking all ugly. You want a nice square look. Does that sound right? Yes, I do want a nice square look on my house. I thought the same thing. Okay, great. Here's what I could do for you. And so I'm labeling them something, and they're 9 times out of 10 going to agree because they don't want to disagree with that and they want to be reasonable. So I give them a label for what I'm trying to do. It's a good thing to do early on in the presentation to set the framework of how the rest of the presentation is going to go. Or even on the doors, if you're doing door knocking, same thing. You can use this early on, in the middle, and later on, but it works perfectly when you give someone some positive identity for them to follow along with the rest of the time. Maybe you can do all 10 of these in one sales call, which I can almost guarantee you would close the deal in that scenario. But some of these I don't do every single time. These are just tools in my tool belt. The thing that I say to all the sales reps and people that we hire is at the end of the day, a sales rep is just like any other job in the world. It's very easily compared to like a home builder or construction guy, because at the end of the day, somebody who builds their home, are they gonna need a hammer every day and a screwdriver every day? Probably. Like, they don't have a choice. They have to use that every day. But then as they're building this house, you need certain new tools and new things. You need things to cut wood. You need things to paint. You need all these new products and all these new skills that you have to learn in order to complete the house in full. It's the same thing in sales. You can start in sales with a lot of basic stuff, but as you get better and more seasoned in the industry and you're in more different houses with different people, you need more and more tools in your tool belt. And these 10 tools in your tool belt, maybe 3, 4, 5 of them you use every single time. You might use embedded commands every time. You might use the foot in the door method. You might use the takeaway, but maybe you don't need social proof every single time. Maybe you don't need to use pattern interrupt every single time. Maybe you don't need to use FOMO every time. But if you have them in your tool belt and you know how to use them properly, you can pull them out whenever you need to and close deals left and right. And so that's what really this is all about, is as a sales rep, you have to build up skill sets and have things in your tool belt to use whenever you need them, just like any other position in any other sales or in any other company. And the best salespeople, they don't push harder. They don't keep nailing things down people's throats. They think deeper, they think differently. They try to get in the door and in other ways and ask certain questions and make it more frictionless. The more friction there is in the sales presentation, the more you're asking questions and they don't want to answer you, the harder it is. So this is a way to kind of get around those hurdles people have and those walls and those fences and make it much more frictionless and much easier to close people. So if you're still watching the video, I would love if you would comment down below and tell me which ones you use, which ones you're going to use in the future because of this. And if you're using all 10 of these, what is your closing ratio? Because I can almost guarantee it's above 80%, no matter what industry you're in. Regardless, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next video.